Welcome to Time of Death. This video is for informational purposes and in no way meant to glorify or condone violence. In today's video, we'll be discussing the murder of Juan Escalante. Escalante, an off-duty LA County Sheriff deputy, was shot and killed near Thorpe and Aragon Avenues in Cypress Park at about 5:45 a.m. Saturday, August 2nd, 2008, according to LA County coroner records. Armando Albarán, Guillermo Hernandez, Arnoldo Pineda, Carlos Velazquez, and Jose Renteria were subsequently arrested and charged with the murder. Renteria was also charged with an unrelated attempted murder. The following is the evidence at trial. Renteria was a member of the Avenues gang. His gang moniker was Snapper. On May 15, 2007, an SUV drove up alongside Luis Piche as he was walking on the sidewalk on York Avenue in an area within the territory claimed by Highland Park 13. Renteria hit up Piche, that is, he asked where he was from. Piche said he was from Highland Park and added F noodles, a derogatory term for the Avenues gang. At that point, Renteria leaned out the SUV with a big or long gun, later recovered and determined to be an AK semi-automatic rifle, and just started shooting. Renteria fired upwards of 20 times. Police recovered 13 shell casings at the scene. Piche was hit by 14 bullets. He survived, but was hospitalized for 2 months. He used a wheelchair for more than a year and then needed leg braces, walkers, and canes to walk. The Piche shooting remained an open investigation for some time after it occurred. On August 2nd, 2008, a little more than 1 year after the Piche shooting, Carlos Tony Velazquez, a member of the Avenues gang, got out of a vehicle and walked up to Juan Escalante, who happened to be a deputy sheriff, as he was standing next to his truck in front of his home, getting ready to leave for work. Velazquez asked Escalante where he was from and started shooting Escalante with a semi-automatic handgun. 6.40 caliber shell casings were recovered from the scene. The firing pin impressions on 6 shell casings showed that all had been fired from a single weapon and were typical of firearms manufactured by the Glock gun manufacturing company. Escalante died from multiple gunshot wounds. 1 bullet entered his head and lodged in his brain. A second bullet grazed an ear, entered the right side of the head, fractured the skull, and exited through the scalp. A third bullet entered the right cheek, fractured the jawbone, and lodged under the scalp at the bottom of the skull. A fourth bullet hit the right shoulder and lodged near the shoulder blade. Escalante had abrasions on the top of his head, above the left eye, on the left chin, and between the eye and the ear. Escalante's injuries were consistent with him standing and facing the shooter, being shot in the right cheek, falling forward, and then being shot 3 more times while falling face forward onto the ground. In September 2008, LAPD Detective Laura Evans was assigned as one of the primary investigators of Deputy Escalante's murder. In the course of her investigation, Detective Evans listened to a number of tapped telephone conversations between members of the Avenues gang, to and from jailhouse phones, at about the same time as Deputy Escalante's murder. Detective Evans also listened to a number of tapped telephone conversations obtained from wiretaps authorized by court orders in a federal investigation of the Avenues gang that happened to be ongoing at the time of Deputy Escalante's murder. The recorded conversations included the following. On August 6, 2008, 4 days after Deputy Escalante's murder, jail authorities recorded a telephone call between Renteria and Alex Gunner Valencia, a member of the Avenues gang who was in custody. During that conversation, Renteria asked Valencia, "Did you hear about what happened?" And Valencia responded, "Don't say nothing, fool. Don't say nothing. Shut up." Renteria also said his mother had gone to see Carlos and that she had said that they punished him because of what happened. Valencia then said, "Hey, fool, don't even talk about that, fool. Don't even talk about that better. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Hey, fool, but nothing. Just chilling, fool." On December 12, 2008, police arrested Velazquez. Shortly after he was arrested, Velazquez gave a videotape interview in which he admitted shooting Deputy Escalante. On December 17, 2008, Renteria talked to Arnulfo Sneaky Sillas in a police interview room for about an hour. That conversation was videotaped. During that conversation, Renteria said that police had asked him to call Sillas and ask him what he did with the gun. Renteria added, "That shit's gone, man." Sillas said, "I don't know what happened to it, fool." "Me neither, that's why I told you to get rid of it." Sillas remarked that Carlos Velazquez, Stoney, had admitted to it, but did not take the rest of them down with him. In September 2010, Pineda pled no contest to voluntary manslaughter with a gang allegation, and the murder count was dismissed. As part of his plea arrangement, Pineda agreed to testify truthfully for the prosecution. In October 2010, the people filed an amended information charging Renteria with the attempted premeditated murder of Piche and the premeditated murder of Escalante. The evidence against Renteria as to count 3, the attempted murder of Piche, included eyewitness testimony from Francisco Pancho Real, who drove in a following car to the scene of the shooting, and from Janice, a civilian witness who happened to witness the shooting from her car. The evidence against Renteria as to count 1, the murder of Escalante, consisted of testimony which showed the general framework of the shooting and the evidence of the various recorded conversations between Renteria and others taken over a course of time during the investigation of Deputy Escalante's murder. These recordings included Renteria's statements to a fellow gang member, Arnulfo Sillas, in which Renteria said that he gave the gun used in the deputy's murder to Stony Velazquez so that Velazquez could go out and look for, find, and shoot any rival gang member, and in which Renteria explained how he loaded the weapon. About a week before trial, the trial court received a sheriff incident report concerning a matter that had occurred in the court's lockup area on January 25th. According to the report, when Renteria was unshackled, he attacked the deputy district attorney prosecuting Renteria's case, hitting him approximately 3 times in the facial area. Arnoldo Pineda agreed to cooperate with prosecutors and testify in the case in exchange for a sentence of 14 years in prison. Armando Chivo Alvaran was extradited from Mexico and pleaded guilty right before his trial was set to begin. He was immediately sentenced to 25 years to life in state prison. Guillermo Hernandez, who was sitting in the backseat of the car, was sentenced to 21 years in state prison. Carlos Velazquez was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and 1 count of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Following his trial, the jury found Jose Renteria guilty of the attempted murder and guilty of the first-degree murder, including a gun and gang enhancement. The trial court sentenced Renteria to 2 consecutive life terms. Roberto Salazar was not arrested and is still wanted. Juan Escalante was 27 years old at the time of death.